Welcome back to the Defined Engagement Bookcast. My name is Doug Fine. Glad you're here with me today. And today again we're going to be talking to Trish Tagley. She is the author of Everyone Knows You Suck, Bad Boss Stories, a Succinct Guide. She has 4 pillars in her book, and today's pillar is going to be the concept of teach. Lots of good topics under the concept of teach. And again, Trish, we are so delighted to have you back to the Defined Engagement Bookcast. Welcome. Welcome back, everybody, to the Defined Engagement Bookcast. My name is Doug Fine. I'm down in Augusta, Georgia, and I have author Trish Tagley with me today. And Trish wrote this very provocative title of a book. She wrote a provocative book, and it says, Everyone Knows You Suck. And boy, was I attracted to this, because I've been doing leadership development my whole career, and I love when people shoot straight, and there are a lot of bosses that suck out there. And the subtitle is Bad Boss Stories, a Succinct Guide. So Trish, we're back here for our second review, and we're going to talk about the second pillar, which is teach.
Yes.
And thank you again for joining me. I'm looking forward. We had a good time last time.
Yep.
And let me ask you this. What would attract this book? Tell me about if this was at the airport and you're going into where you buy a magazine or buy a $10 candy bar. You go into the airport and you see this on the rack and you go, Everyone Knows You Suck. Bad Boss Stories, a Succinct Guide. Tell me what you were thinking about. What kind of person's going to buy this book?
First of all.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm waiting.
There's so much positive, positivity. Mm-hmm. Everybody's into the positivity. And I'm like, really? Like, think positive. Which I hate. I hate that saying. Mm-hmm. Because thinking positive doesn't get you positive work. Doing positive, will get you positive work. So, in any case, everybody is on this happy trail. Everything has to be happy. Frame it in a happy way. Well, that's not really life. Life sucks. Sometimes life sucks. Sometimes your work sucks. Sometimes your boss sucks. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. And sometimes your boss sucks and they don't know it. But you do. So it's sort of, that's where I was coming from, is there's all this positive stuff out there, and truthfully, that's not real life. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to differentiate myself. You're going to get realness in this book. You're going to get truth. You're going to get life. You're going to get the stuff that people are really saying behind your back. Okay? That's why I entitled it the way I did. Because I'm sorry. There's just so much, fluffy, happy, smiley. No.
Yeah.
Not everyone that goes to work is thrilled every morning. Because stuff happens, life happens, and bad bosses happen.
Yeah,
so there you go.
That's well said. I've been in leadership development and organization development and employee morale and employee engagement, and leader engagement, fill in the blanks that I've been. And so I have a 26-year-old son who's a civil engineer, and he works at a very good firm in town, and I see him occasionally, and I'll want to hear so tell me, how's work going? Are they treating you right? Do you enjoy your job? Is your work fulfilling? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm asking my son this. And he's 26, and he goes, Dad, it's a job.
See?
And I'm doing the best I can, and it's fine. And that generation, they're not living to work.
No.
They are not living to work. And yes, he's got a good job, decent pay, good atmosphere, but it's a job. And people like me, sometimes we want to make work this, something that it may not be, because work is work.
Yes.
It's like someone asks you, what's your favorite chore? I don't have a favorite chore. Chores are chores. Why would I have a favorite? That's just stuff I have to do.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
my crazy thinking. So we're going to talk about Teach from this book, Everyone Knows You Suck, Bad Boss Stories. So the subtopic under Teach, you have about 4 or 5 subtopics under each pillar. We're going to talk about 2 today. The first one is the FISH philosophy. You want to remind us what that is and how does that relate to a bad boss or becoming a better boss?
Okay, so I have this thing about teaching what I know to the people that report to me, and I think that it's really important, and therefore it's one of the pillars in the book. So the FISH philosophy is based on the saying, give a man a fish and he eats for a day. Teach a man how to fish and he eats for a lifetime.
Love it.
And by the way, that doesn't come from a religious book. It comes somebody named Anne Ritchie actually came up with that. A lot of people just equate it with religion. I don't know why.
Weird, but it's maybe it's because it's really, really true. It's really profoundly true.
Yeah, exactly. So I live by that, and I expect people who are leaders to live by that as well. A lot of people I have found, and I've heard, obviously, from these stories, that they don't really share the information that they have because they feel that that's their job security.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep what I know to myself so that I'm the most important person on this team. Wrong. Your job is to teach the people what you know so that you are no longer the most important person on the team. If something happens to you, somebody else can fill your spot. Again, I have a different way of looking at business, and maybe it's because I've owned my own even prior to this, in the fashion industry.
Right.
You don't just think about yourself in the company. You think about the company. If something, again, I'm repeating myself, if something happens to me, who's going to be able to do my work?
You're thinking beyond you.
Yes. You have to have a long-term vision of what is this going to look like when I'm gone. And it should be that the people that are reporting to you have risen up to your level. Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the whole teaching thing comes in. And like I said, you give them the knowledge that you have, that you've gained, that you've earned, because you're their manager, you're their leader. You need to role model that. You need to teach them so that they grow.
What's in it for you, though, by doing that?
Okay, well, one tangible perk is you get to go on vacation.
That's awesome.
If you think about it, right?
Yeah.
If somebody else knows what you know, then you get to go on vacation. Okay, so if there's nothing else that invites you to teach people what you know, this should be one thing, that you get more vacation time, okay? But the truth of the matter is, like I said, the higher up you go, the more you're responsible for the people that report to you and what they're learning and how they're progressing, and that they get to step up as well.
Developing them.
Yes, that is your job.
Yes, I think that's true, Trish, because I've learned there comes a point where you're in, let's say I'm in my career, and it's no longer about me making a difference, in a sense. It's about developing people that are working for me so they can keep going, because I'm not going to be there forever anymore, you know. So development for an executive or a relatively high level manager or director, development is where it's at, if they're thinking unselfishly. You know, I've actually thought that I've been in lots of organizations where they almost tell you need to cross-train your people, cross-train. And whenever I tried to set that up uh, with people that work for me, people are very reluctant to cross train other people about what they do.
Why?
Why? Why? Because we've been groomed in our system to not be to not work closely together and do for the team and do for the company. It's more about I can't have anybody know what I do because someone might take it away. They're not looking at cross training as something that's going to benefit everybody. They'd go and learn from somebody, and they're teaching somebody. They'd get the chance to go and learn something from somebody. So it's really weird. It's a weird dynamic. Cross training. Sometimes maybe I did it wrong, but people are not like, oh yeah, let's cross train. Uh,
I think, like I said, I'm one of the outliers possibly, and I hope not. I hope that in the years that I've been away from corporate, in the sense of being in it,
sure.
okay, that people have changed and that people have learned. But I'm afraid
they haven't.
I'm afraid that they haven't.
Well, let me ask you this: when you're doing your consulting work, you go in to places that need your help and find out that they got a pretty robust thing going here, where people are sharing their knowledge, or you see the dynamic of people hiding what they do and how they do it. So maybe it's really not happening. That's what you're saying. You're saying that it's really still not happening.
Well, then we'd be out of jobs.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's true.
That proves it right there, right?
There you go. That's right. That's why they need you.
Exactly.
Hey, tell me, you draw in this what is it? Subtopic under teach. You draw a distinct difference between a leader micromanaging others and that leader making themselves redundant. Tell me about what that means. Why'd you talk about that?
Okay, first of all, nobody likes to be micromanaged. Okay?
Hate it.
Exactly. I'm sure you would personally. I don't want somebody standing over saying, "Oh, do this, teach me the foundation, give me the foundation, and then let me run." Okay? And then, like I said, the end goal of anyone in a leadership position, you have to when you step into this leadership role, you have to have a vision for what are we going to achieve at the end? What is the loftiest goal that we can achieve? Okay, and this is, again, it goes back to the framework of C's, what I do as a consultant.
Tell us again what that means.
Okay, C stands for Summit for Internal Efficiency and Zipped Up Evolution. So that's a one-day summit that I do with stakeholders.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. So you look at what is the long-term goal, what is the highest aspirational goal that we can apply or achieve in this with this team. Okay, and you drive towards that. And what are the actions or the results that we'd like to see with each of the team member? So the point is, again, I teach everybody that I know so that they can take my place, because I'm hoping to get promoted, right? There's gonna be an empty space. Now, instead of hiring from the outside, you'd like to see somebody else from the inside be able to step into that spot.
There's so much benefit to that.
Exactly.
Countless ways,
Exactly. So you teach them so they can step into that spot, and then you can rise. And sometimes that means you make yourself redundant. You're not useful in that position anymore because everybody can do what you can do, right? And hopefully people that are your supervisors notice that and do give you that promotion because they don't play favorites.
Yeah.
Which goes back to our last live. But
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I think that it's a shame, but I think that there are there are many places that don't honor that. And the reason they go and hire from the outside, see, this is what's going on. This is what I've seen. The manager or leader was not developing their people, not making themselves redundant, but actually just keeping things steady. And it's not a developmental philosophy for their people. So if that manager goes, there really is no one to fill in their shoes, because they weren't developed to fill in anybody's shoes. Then they go outside, find somebody that might have some related experience at another company, management experience, technically competent in this area, and they hire them instead of those that were working for that person. And that just causes a lot of chaos. I guess what I really want to say, and you saying this, is like, promote from within, dudes.
Yeah.
Set something up so you can promote from within, that only if it's a skill that nobody has, or it's an expertise that is just not available, we should be developing our people so we don't have to be going outside, bringing in quote unquote strangers that you really don't know. Anyway, I could go on and on, but companies should promote from within. It just goes a long way for how employees view that company, because they're going to go, I was here, I've seen them go up, I've seen her go up, I've seen him go up, man, I'm going to go up too. It's just that simple. So,
yeah, exactly.
Don't get me preaching. So we're going to move on to the next sub pillar, okay? And that is feedback. So talk to me about, in your book, Everyone Knows You Suck, Bad Boss Stories. In your book, you talk about people, actually managers and leaders, asking for feedback from their employees, from their team members. What am I doing well? What should I change? Whatever. What would be some of those questions that you would encourage a boss or a manager to ask their people about their own performance? What would be some things that you would ask? You'd like, what did you ask your people when you were leading them, getting feedback?
Well, okay. First of all, I think we can both agree that a lot of people like to critique others that are reporting to them, but they don't put a mirror to themselves. Okay. So whenever I would have one-on-ones, when I was in corporate, I would have one-on-ones with my direct reports once a month. Okay, because again, everybody loves a meeting. So I would I would just have it once a month, because I interact with them fairly frequently, and I knew most of it, but this was their time.
Sure.
Okay.
Their time.
Yes. And the other thing too, I'd like to add to this. Okay, is there are a lot of companies where supervisors will say, oh, and let's have, when they hire people, okay, oh, and we're going to have a monthly one-on-one, so make sure you put that in my calendar. When I was told this the first time, I was appalled. I did, but that's not the way I worked with my people. I put it in their calendars. I made the meeting and I put it in their calendars. Why? Because I wanted to show them that I was interested in them.
Yes.
This is not, your supervisor will deign to talk to you that month. No. This is you showing interest in the people that work for you. You are making the time in your calendar and you're sending out the invite because you want to know what they think. Okay? So going back to feedback, first of all, we talk about, okay, what's going on in your world? What do you need help with? Is there anything special? And again, most of the time we really didn't have a lot to talk about because I was always on top of everything that, they needed etc., etc.
Sure.
So the end of it, not 5 minutes, but maybe 15, 20 minutes, I would ask them, is there anything that you think I should do better? Is there anything, or phrase it in a different way, is there anything that you think I can improve? Whatever, again, plain speak. And some people would come up with some things, and I'd be like, good observation, because they're in meetings with me, right? So they see how I act, or they see how I interact with other people, so they have feedback for me. So why not listen and again learn, because you don't see yourself from the outside, right?
Hey, take that to the bank. I wish I had a little bell here. Bing, 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 bing.
I won the lottery.
You don't see what other people see. We're incapable.
Exactly.
We're incapable of seeing the full picture of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a gift. You're asking them to give you a gift.
Yeah.
And I'd also say this, Trish, if you've got the relationship with that person to the point where they are really telling you what could help you, and they're your subordinate, let's say, in the pecking order, that's a gift. That's huge. You've built something with that person that allows them to be free, speak freely and honestly to you. You've built that trust.
Yeah.
And they're not, and I think that sometimes takes time, but you're not going to come back on them because they were truthful to you. And I think there are a lot of leaders that don't even want to even go there with anybody. Because there's a lot of fear running around our organizations of being called out for the many, many things that we don't do well. And that my list that I don't do well it's growing every day almost. But I want to hear it necessarily,
Yeah.
So we have a lot of fear in the workplace that people, it's that whole imposter syndrome. How did I get here? I'm a leader, but did I deserve this job, etc. So what I'm saying is what you're telling us here, feedback is really, really a gift. And if you set up your relationship with your people that they can be truthful to you and it doesn't hurt them, man, oh man, guess what? They're going to listen to feedback that you give them way differently.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. There's just 2 stories.
Sure.
Okay, and
that's why we're here.
This is from my life.
Mm-hmm.
So one time, again, on a one-on-one, okay, so you can work on this, you can work on that. Okay. So then I said, okay, so now was a time, because like I said, monthly I ask the question. Sometimes they say, nah, nothing, because there's not really nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then one time this girl said to me, you can listen more in meetings. And I smiled because I knew what she meant. See, I don't really suffer fools very easily, therefore the title of the book. And I don't know if
everyone knows you suck.
And to me, it's like, get to the point. We have enough meetings, again, so let's get to the point. What are you trying to say? And if you don't have anything to say and you're just speaking to pretend something, just stop. Just stop.
Shut up.
Yes. Yes. Don't fill the air with words that people are going to sit there and be like, okay, how was that helpful? Because again, it's like everybody knows you suck, and pretending and saying something just to say something doesn't help.
Yeah.
So I have this, I've been, after she said that, I started to really pay attention. And whenever I feel like I just clasp my hands really tightly and tighter and tighter until it just shut up. Just
Let
don't
me
say
ask,
anything. Just don't say anything.
This I really want to ask this, Trish. you learned from that person. They were telling you that they're seeing something in you, like maybe some impatience.
Yes.
Or in the meeting.
Yes.
And you have had to swallow it.
Yes.
And you've had to sit there like a good girl.
Yes.
And did that help you? How did that help you in hearing that? Because there were still fools talking out there, you know what, in the meeting, and you didn't want to come across anyway. So was that helpful to you?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Because
what did it do for you?
Well, the point is, even if somebody doesn't have a great idea, they have the right to speak up and express that idea. There's no stupid, you go back to the old isms, right? There's no stupid question, there's no and you never know, somebody might actually have a good idea, so let me just shut up.
Okay.
So like I said, it's being respectful too, regardless of maybe how inane what they're saying is. But it was a way to show respect for the people. It was mostly at my level. I didn't really interrupt when it was, the groups or group meetings for projects and that. It was mostly people at my level where I would interrupt. So I did learn from her. So it was really good feedback. It's good feedback for me, not just at work, but also in life.
I love that you talked about your learning there. Your learning there. I also want to say it's Trish is, to our listeners and people that are watching. Trish is like Spider-Man has his spidey senses. Trish. One of Trish's specialties is bullshit detection. So that's a gift you have.
BS assassin.
Yes. BS assassin. That's what I meant to say. But that's a gift you have. And so I think internally, or whenever you're in a meeting and someone's just popping off because for whatever and not really adding value, that's BS to you. You know? So that's had to been a little hard because that's your specialty.
Yes.
And you had to kind of eat that a little bit, just kind of hold it within.
Yes.
And that served you well.
Yes,
even though you're a BS assassin, it still served you well.
Yes, like I said, interrupting doesn't show respect.
Okay.
So I was, to be honest, I was being disrespectful. So change it.
Okay.
You got the feedback, right?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes people will give you feedback and you're just like, okay, that doesn't help, but thank you.
Right.
Because sometimes it just doesn't.
Exactly.
Especially depending on your level again. But this one was very helpful, like I said, not just professionally, but personally, to allow others to have their say, regardless of whether you agree or not, and whether it's valuable or not. And just sit there and listen. Everybody has the right to speak.
Yeah, they're in the same meeting, so it's not just about you and what you say or what you believe.
Exactly.
So that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
You're learning, aren't you? So here's where I'm going to go back to kind of a feature we're going to do with our 4 episodes, this old school language. In your book, I see, and this is again, everyone knows you suck. In your book, you talk about different things that are kind of like old school terms that we might have, as a young person, those kind of things were said in a work environment where they may not be said anymore for whatever reason. So I love this. A couple times you tell the reader, you are so blunt sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah.
A lot of times.
A lot of times, yeah, not all the time. You tell this leader, you know what? If you're doing this, you should be fired. So I wow, that's old school. Because everybody talks around about. Anyway, that person should be fired. If they're doing that, they should be fired. There's no hope for them. Oh no, that's kind of what I'm hearing. So that's old school. So tell me about in this book in 2020, it's still okay to say that person should be fired because they're really doing they're doing things that are not moving the business forward or their team forward. They're doing some really sucky things.
Yes.
And they probably should be fired. So just tell me about
that.
That showed up a few times in the book, so I just want to ask you about it.
I have very strong opinions.
Mm-hmm.
As people who have read the book and may read the book in the future.
It's blunt. I mean, you say some
yes.
very blunt things.
Yes.
And I appreciated that from day one when I read it.
Well, like I said, I wanted the language to be me, but at the same time, I wanted the people to read, who were reading the book, to get it just like that. And not have to think about, okay, what was that term?
Yeah.
You know, like when people started to say pivot, it drove me nuts.
That is the buzzword of the month.
You know, I was just like, just stop. Change direction. We made a mistake. Just say it like it is, okay? But about being fired, there was another book that I read a long time ago, and I'm not going to promote the book, sorry. But I'll tell you later. But it said that if you allow a bad apple to remain in the barrel, the rest of the barrel is going to spoil. And that's something that's also old school, but it's true.
Yes.
Okay, so if we change it, okay, and make it in people. If you allow a person who sucks to remain in their position, guess what's going to happen to the rest of the company, the rest of the team, the rest of the people that are working there? They're seeing that this person who doesn't add value in that position, guess what they're going to do? Well, since they don't have to work, I'm not going to work. Mm-hmm. Then that's going to be the pervasive attitude. That's the culture that you're developing is, well, we're going to keep this person for whatever reason, and morale goes down, work, the desire to produce good work goes down.
Right.
So what's the benefit? Again, think of the company.
Yeah.
What are you building? Are you building a company where people are happy to go to work because, well, not every day is a good day, but most days are good days, and they're achieving something, they're owning something, they're proud of what they do? Or are you developing a culture where, well, he can sit there and make X amount of money and suck, so I'm going to do the same thing?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Yeah, and I think that is the beginning of the downfall, because good people, the best, are not going to stay in an atmosphere like that. So they will soon enough start leaving, and then your company goes into a swirl, a downward swirl.
Unless this has existed for so long that people have said, let me just sit here, and they never leave. So then you have a company of people who aren't doing anything but are getting paid. They're in higher positions because they've gotten promoted by the people who aren't doing anything else.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. I'm assuming like that someone that's here's an old school term, right? Someone that's a go-getter, you know, that wants to accomplish stuff. That atmosphere will just drive them out, you know. So that's I guess what I'm saying. The top high performers, they're not going to want to be. They're going to want to be a high performer wherever. And if they're not allowed to be a high performer, they just take off. That's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah. Let me. This is an example from real life.
Sure.
And this is an example of bad company culture and how the people there were so demoralized. Okay. There was this one person nobody really knew what his value was. He wasn't an account person, so he wasn't taking care of the client. He was in strategy. Strategically, I don't really know, because I interacted with him. I really didn't know what his value was because his ideas were not revolutionary. Okay?
Sure.
And remember, I've worked at a lot of different digital agencies here in New York. He got promoted. An email went out through the company, agency-wide, so-and-so got promoted, etc., etc. And usually, when people get promoted and people like them, you get this barrage of emails, congratulations, because everybody hits reply all,
yes,
reply all,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And I sat back in my chair, because I'm the BS assassin, right? I'm like, let's see. Is there even one email that's going to go through? You know what? Not one. Congratulations.
Everyone knew he sucked.
Yeah. Everyone did. But for some reason, they kept him around and they promoted him. And then I found out that they promoted him because he badgered his boss for this promotion. And his boss gave it to him because he just wanted to shut him up.
Wow.
Now, you tell me, do you think that company it's still around, but do you really think that they're flourishing?
No. Hey, I might have got us off track a little bit, but you did say you had a couple of stories from your life. Was that it?
That was the second one.
Fair enough.
That was the second one.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well,
so it's about feedback, right?
Yes.
I mean, this person wasn't getting the right feedback. His bosses obviously didn't care about his career because they were too busy focusing on themselves. And everybody below him knew he sucked.
Yeah. So, viewers and listeners, it's Trish Tagley, and her book is Everyone Knows You Suck. Bad Boss Stories, a Succinct Guide. Again, there are definitely stories in this book, one by one, about the pillars and then the sub-pillars. A little story about somebody talking about a boss of theirs who sucked and what they did and how they misbehaved. And Trish talks about, well, this is the real mistake they made, and this is how they could adjust if they had a chance, what they need to do to stop being so sucky. Is that right? Is that kind of how you put it? That's how I put it. Yeah.
Pretty much.
So Trish, next time we talk, we're going to talk about the third pillar, which is think.
Yep.
And I look forward to getting with you again about this book, the third pillar of the book. Trish, how can people reach you? Your email or your company's email?
TrishTagley.com.
TrishTagley.com.
Yeah.
And that's TAGLE.
GLE. Yes.
Yeah, Tagley.com. And that would be the best way?
Info@TrishTagley.com.
Info@TrishTagley.com. And you can go to her website, which is TrishTagley.com. And you're going to see that she's a BS assassin and proud of it.
Yes.
And you have every right to be proud because you help companies get better.
Yes, I do.
Good.
Yes, I do.
So we'll see you next time. We'll talk about think and the subtopics under there. And again, thanks for your time today. Really enjoyed it.
Okay,
People
great.
go out and get this book at Amazon. It's called Everyone Knows You Suck.
Kindle and paperback.
Yeah, get it. It's handy. It's small. It's wonderful. It's an easy read, but a powerful read.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care, Trish.
Bye-bye.
Trish Tagley, thank you so much. I learned so much from these bookcasts. Next time we meet, we'll be talking to Trish again on the third pillar of her book, and that topic is think, from her book Everyone Knows You Suck, Bad Boss Stories, a Succinct Guide. More bookcasts can be found at anchor.fm/Doug-Fine, and you can also visit my website, www.DougJFine.com. Thank you again for joining us. See you next time.